Austin Hill gets a penalty that will change his entire season in the Xfinity Series, plus an update on Stuart Friesen after a scary crash last night. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well on this Tuesday night or whenever it is you're watching this video. As always, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing as far as NASCAR content on a daily basis. And well, if you are subscribed, congratulations. You're doing your part, and send this to somebody. Let's grow this channel a little bit, one thing at a time. But got some serious news to start off the video before we talk about some other news. Last night, if you missed it, Stuart Friesen, NASCAR Truck Series regular, already a race winner this year, locked himself into the playoffs. He was out racing a dirt modified race in Quebec, Canada, and was a part of a just violent wreck. Now, I'm not going to show you the video. It's all over social media. Go find that if you really want to look at it. You're not going to find it here, but just devastating crash and hard to watch as he goes airborne, catches fire, lands on his roof, and then is hit again by a competitor's car. Stuart Friesen was alert and talking to medical officials once they got to him, was transported to a local hospital, and his wife, Jessica, who is also a race car driver, if you don't know, she gave an update this morning on Stuart finally. Quote, CT scans have come back clear of any head, neck, or spine injuries. Unfortunately, he's still in a tremendous amount of pain. Stuart has suffered an unstable open book pelvic fracture, meaning his pelvis is broken in 2 or more places with a large hematoma on the area. Stuart also has a fractured right leg. Both of these injuries will require surgery. Stuart was transferred to a larger hospital this morning for these procedures. His vitals are stable, and after receiving additional pain medication, he's in better spirits and resting. That is no joke. Serious injury. Glad Stuart Friesen is at least alert and talking and at least still with us, because that crash is so violent, and especially when you get those pelvic injuries, that is no joke. That is a very serious injury to overcome. A long road ahead. Now tonight, as of this time, it's I think 6 o'clock. I'm recording this Central Time. There is one more update from his wife. She did give one more update tonight on social media. Quote, Stewart continues to be in serious but stable condition here at a hospital in Quebec. He will be transferred to a hospital in New York tomorrow, where multiple surgeries will take place in the coming days. We want to thank everyone here at the hospital in Quebec for the outstanding care and several members of the racing community who have helped facilitate getting Stewart closer to home. The outpouring of support from all of our racing family has been overwhelming in the best way. Thank you for all of the outreach and encouragement as we continue to work through the next steps in Stewart's recovery. So it's going to be a long few days for Stuart Friesen, a long road to recovery for him and his family and friends as well, a part of the journey. Thoughts are with him and his family and friends, as this is going to be not a fun few days, especially as they're transporting him down. At least they're able to transport him. That seems like it's a good sign. He's stable enough to be transported, but goodness gracious, what a serious incident, and all of our thoughts are with the Friesen family and everyone involved here. It's a story that we'll continue to monitor, as that 52 truck is, I hate to move on and look at the racing side, but he did win a race, so that truck is in the owner's playoffs. So, it's going to be interesting to see what Stuart Friesen as an owner and driver, what they do with that team. But it's scary sight, and hopefully he is able to fully recover and we see him on track sooner than later, maybe in 2026. But scary sight, and I'm just glad he's okay overall. All right, we've got the stuff that's bigger than racing talked about. Let's talk about something that's very serious on track. Now, this weekend, of course, at Indianapolis, the incident with Eric Almirola and Austin Hill, where Almirola got Hill loose going into turn 3, and Hill saved it, and then immediately threw a right hook or a left hook into Eric Almirola, taking both cars out. But Eric Almirola, a hard crash into the spot in the track where there's no safer barrier there. He was okay, but everyone immediately looked and said that was intentional. You could see not only the white gloves, but just the way how it happened, how he saved the car and then immediately turned it back into Almirola. It was hard to argue that, and everyone looked to potentially today for the penalty report with NASCAR. It was issued, and no shock to anyone, Austin Hill will be receiving a 1-race penalty, suspended for the Iowa race this weekend. So Austin Hill will not be in that car. Major ripple effect for his future. But before that, Austin Dillon will be in that 21 car for RCR in the Xfinity race this weekend, because Austin Hill, he's got to sit, and Austin Dillon is, of course, the voice of reason. He's never wrecked anyone intentionally. Anyway, yeah. So Austin Hill, big for the playoffs because not only does he lose all of his current playoff points, but he loses any future points that he could win. He's starting at 0. He will be the last seed into the Xfinity playoffs, and this is a guy who has his sights set on a championship. He's a contender the last few years and is looking for that win for RCR as a championship. And this puts him completely behind the 8 ball. Does it completely eliminate him? No, but it almost puts him at a point now where you get to the round of 8, maybe, you're going to almost have to be in a must-win territory. Now, RCR is really good, especially at Martinsville in that penultimate race, but for a guy who has championship contender hopes and is one of the favorites in the field, this is not what you need, and this is the first time we've seen somebody directly affected by this. Of course, Austin Cindric potentially would have been in the same boat if he had gotten the full suspension. He was only penalized for turning Ty Dillon back in March at COTA, and Richard Childress talked about that at the track on Saturday, saying they should have done it to Austin, so they better not do it to Austin Hill. Well, all right, Pop. That's not what you wanted there, but RCR will not appeal the penalty. So Austin Hill will be missing Iowa, will be starting the playoffs in the Xfinity Series at the very back of the grid at 0 for the playoffs. So notable, but not a shock. NASCAR had to set this precedence, and it was very clear cut for almost everyone. I've seen a handful of people online saying, one way or another, whether it was Almirola deserving it or just, it was trying to save the car. But majority ruled here that Austin Hill was guilty. And with that, you have to set a precedence here. Otherwise, it's going to happen more and more. And NASCAR has to make sure they make an example out of Austin Hill. So, as tough as it is to see one of the favorites in the Xfinity field get this major blow to his championship contender hopes, you can't feel bad for him because you have to have a more present. You have to have more presence on the track, especially for somebody who stood up at the drivers' meeting at Martinsville in the spring and said, "I'm going to be a leader, show by example." Not showing by example this time, Austin Hill. So you'll be watching from the couch just like me and just like you on Saturday, and we'll see what comes of that with Austin Dillon in the 21 for RCR. And before we wrap up the video, let's talk about some lighter things. Before we put a bow on Indianapolis, NY Racing announced an incredible scheme for Watkins Glen next weekend, running the Syracuse livery. I'm all for college athletics partnering with these NASCAR teams. You've seen Texas A&M recently. You saw Arkansas in the Truck Series. You've seen Kansas in the Xfinity Series. You've seen different schools partner with different teams, and I'm here for it. I hope they offer the diecast. That would be a really cool one to own. And running it up in Watkins Glen in northern New York, that's Syracuse country, that's Orange country. Let Otto drive the car. Let him get behind the car if he can even fit in one of those. But I thought that was a pretty cool scheme that they unveiled today. And before we finally put a bow on Indianapolis, did you notice coming to the white flag, Bubba Wallace looked like he hit something almost? When I was watching this live, I noticed it, but in the moment, it got so put behind because of the celebration and all that. But it's been talked about on social media. I just wanted to put some more light on it in case you didn't realize what it was. I'm pretty sure that was a beer can out there or some sort of beverage out there. And it gives me vibes of Jeff Gordon at Talladega back in the 2000s, although that was the post-race celebration. This was in the middle of the white flag. He hit the can. You saw it pop. You saw Bubba Wallace hit something. Could you imagine if he had hit that and a tire would have gotten cut? The conspiracy theories would have been flying about NASCAR trying to stop 2311 from winning a crown jewel. NASCAR just trying to stop Bubba Wallace from winning a race. It would have been insane. And for the fan, whoever that did that, ridiculous. Absolutely just ridiculous. No place in the sport for that. No place at the track for that. Norman says, shame on you. There's absolutely no place in the NASCAR world to throw objects at the track. So, we've talked about some serious things. We're wrapping it on a lighter note. Norman had to make a cameo as always, of course. But we've talked about, of course, Stuart Friesen. Thoughts are with his family. And hopefully his road to recovery is painless and relatively short for what it is. Of course, the Austin Hill penalty and his championship hopes very much affected by this. And, the Bubba Wallace beer can. Oh, goodness gracious. What do you think about it, Norman? Yeah, not much going on in that brain. Not much going on in this brain, folks. But we'll talk to you soon. Make sure if you haven't subscribed to the Breaking Bob channel, subscribe for more NASCAR content. And like this video. If you like what you saw, it does help me out. It really does. And we'll see you next time on the Breaking Bob channel. More NASCAR content on a daily basis coming your way. See you next time.